right, look what we have here. I have another set of the Neumi BS5Ps because the last ones, I think they kind of got messed up when I tried to flash them using the virtual machine. All right, so that was pretty quick and easy. Looking here, there's the port where I have to plug in the USB. It seems to be an old, what is that? Micro USB, I think that is. So that's pretty cool. I think what would be even cooler is if you could apply your own DSP using your own PQ settings, but yeah, maybe I'll have to talk to them about that possibility. But there it is, that's what's on the inside. Just make sure not to pull any of these wires off. So there's a little bit of slack there, so I should be fine. That's what we need right there. Using this virtualization, it is a huge pain in the butt. I'm sure if I was on a Windows computer, it'd be much easier, but ADFU failed. All right, so here we go. Finally, we have it hooked up to Windows. I mean, it's not emulated, so it's really running on this Mac. So let's see how this works. Should take no longer than 30 seconds. Looks like it's working. The other one wasn't doing that. There it is. It is almost 4 a.m. I'm pretty tired, so I'm gonna wait till tomorrow to measure this thing and test it out. All right, so right now I'm about to do a frequency response measurement on the brand new Klippel near field scanner. And autofocus. Okay, it's a U-mic one and a step ladder. The last ones, I think they kind of got messed up when I tried to flash them using the virtual machine. I'm not sure, but it just wasn't taking, and so they sent me another one. Hopefully this turns out a little bit better and it measures the way I expect it to measure. Alright, so I just finished measuring the new speaker. Hallelujah. It is the response that I expected it to be, which is less treble, and it's the response that they initially wanted. So I can go ahead and recommend these after all because they're measuring the way that I would hope they would measure, which is equal or better than the original passive ones. So just for fun, I'm gonna go ahead and do what Aaron from Aaron's Audio Corner recommends, which is plugging the ports, and let's see what that does. All right, so here I have a port plug, a port bung. I don't think this is gonna fit. That was a setup for you, Aaron. That's an easy assist. All right, so I have these leftover port plugs, and these are kind of handy because you can take out the center and kind of make the port smaller, and these will fit perfectly. If not, you can cut a piece of foam, that'll work, or old sock, I don't know, whatever you want to put in there. You just go ahead and plug them up like so, real easy. They'll expand, make a seal. Not the prettiest thing in the world, but there you go. So there it is. You can see that it takes off that dip that's around 840 hertz, and yeah, that's smoothed out. All you have to do is plug the ports, and it does take away a little bit of the bass, but there's enough bass if you're gonna use this with a sub, which I would recommend if you really want deep bass. Yeah, it takes away a little bit of bass, but overall smoother response, I think it's worth it. So overall, I can't say that I could recommend these, and it's because at this price point, I think that they do enough, they sound good enough, and you have to be realistic when it comes to the price point. I know a lot of reviewers, especially the objective ones, Amir, they don't really talk so much about value because it's true. What value is to one person is going to be different from someone else. To someone else, they can look at this and say, that's an expensive speaker. I wasn't expecting to spend that much. And to somebody else, they would look at it like, man, that's the least expensive powered speaker I've ever seen. And yeah, so, you know, all I can say is from my opinion, I get to test lots of different speakers, and I can't say that for this price, I think there's value. And yeah, I could recommend them. These are using a 5-inch fiberglass woofer and a 1-inch soft dome tweeter. They claim 37.5 watts per channel. It's a powered speaker with multiple inputs. So you have Bluetooth, you have optical in, you have RCA analog in, and you also have a coax digital input as well. So this does have controls on the back, and it also comes with a handy remote. I asked Neumi if they're using some digital signal processing to enhance the sound in any way, and they said that they are. So who's this for? This is for you if maybe this is your first system, or maybe something that you just want to use on a TV or at a computer, or maybe just to play some music over Bluetooth. Also, this might be for you if simplicity is a top priority and if you're on a tight budget. Also, I would say that if you're looking to upgrade in the future and you want an upgrade path, I would go for something with a more modular system, like a separate passive speaker and amp combo. So what does it do extremely well? I would say that would be value proposition. I mean, the fact that they were able to cram all of this tech at this price point is pretty tough to do. I mean, anybody that is looking for a perfect speaker, I would challenge them to go and try to make a speaker and actually sell it. And you'll find out that they're probably working off very small margins here. Off axis, I would say that this speaker performs admirably, and you might be able to use some DSP to correct some of the flaws here. I would also like to say that at this price point, they were able to use magnetic grills, so that's awesome. So what does it do okay? And I would say, on first listen, I would say that the tonality is mostly right. If you start nitpicking and looking at graphs, then you'll see that there are some issues here. But generally, overall, you kind of listen to them, you're like, oh, that sounds about right. After a little bit more listening, I did find that they were a little bit brighter than I prefer. The LED on the front is color changing, so it lets you know which input you're on, and that's kind of handy. I did do some testing, and they are applying some DSP limiting, which means that when you start turning it up, it tries to limit some of that distortion so you don't overdrive your speakers. These do play loud enough for me in the near field, although in some small to mid-sized rooms, I might expect a little bit more output. So I've opened up each one, and you can see here that each one actually has a physical crossover. They're not using an active crossover via electronics. Another thing is that each one does have some internal stuffing, which is nice to see to help with damping. So what are some of the downsides? So first of all, there's no subwoofer output, which I think is kind of necessary because these don't have a lot of bass. There is some cancellation coming from around 900 Hertz, which is coming through the front ports, and that's something I saw on the old BS5s as well. You'll see them in the measurements. I found that there's some audible hiss on the analog input, which is reduced when you're using any of the digital ones, but something that would kind of hold me back if you're planning on using an analog input at the desk, because it's something that I find personally annoying, but if it's not annoying to you, then maybe you won't mind so much. Speaking of that LED on the front, it was a little bit bright, so if you're using these in a dark situation, you may want to cover that. I might be nitpicking here, but I did find that the passive speaker has a cheaper binding post than the old BS5s, which used a 5-way binding post. And the last thing that I think is a downside is that they made these a little bit V-shaped now, and I like the way the old ones sounded. I thought everything is good, and I was hoping that they would just use DSP to kind of smooth out the response and fix some of the issues. And in my opinion, what they should have done was make these sealed and actually use DSP to extend the bass response further out, so you'd get deeper bass extension, and maybe smooth out the response a little bit, and that's it. Maybe use it for some limiting, but that's not what they did here. What they did was they made it V-shaped, and maybe some people like that sound, but for me, I prefer a neutral sound. So what are some of the alternatives? At this price point, what I find are stuff from Edifier, Mica, the PB42X, maybe the Mica RB42 plus a separate amp, which is a little bit more expensive. And so those are the competitors around this price range. And I would say that this fares favorably. I mean, it's about the same as the other ones that we're looking at here. In some ways, those other ones are better. In some way, these are better. But I think the biggest competitor to this is actually the old BS5s from Neumi, the passive versions. I would say that if you could spend a little bit more, maybe 50 bucks more, and actually get a BS5, and if you could pair that with an inexpensive desktop amplifier, I think that you would get a better sound overall. Speaker leaderboard. All right, here we go. Neumi BS5P. Where does it place? It does have a place here in the powered speaker category, and I will put it here above the MK402BT, and so you can kind of get an idea where that ranks on the list if you go to the speaker leaderboard, which you can see here. And best bookshelf, let's see, I'm gonna place these right above the Bose 301s. And best for desktop, actually these are gonna be pretty good for desktop. Let me see, these are some powered monitor speakers. Anything powered usually does pretty well here. These are all more expensive than these. I'm gonna go ahead and put these for desktop. Maybe right around here. Okay, maybe right there. Best under 100 bucks. I'm gonna go ahead and put these again over the Mica 000s, over those. Yeah, that looks about right. BS5P. All right, so best overall, regardless of sound. As far as accuracy, which I like accuracy, I like some bass. This HomePod sounded pretty good. This had a lot of bass, but not too accurate. I'm gonna have to put it maybe somewhere around here. Now, some of these I haven't reviewed in a long time, so I've kind of forgotten how they sound. But just generally, this is about where these place. Don't take it too seriously. But that's it. If you like the video, make sure to like, subscribe, ring the bell to be notified when I upload new videos. Anyway, take care. Bye-bye. All right, we're here in my kids' room, and they have a projector set up. They have a 110-inch screen, and the sound is typically coming from this thing. And so we'll use the Neumis here, and they should sound much better. Oh, hi there. Nah, does it bump?